Queensland Roar, who last season finished just one game short of reaching the A-League Grand Final. And last night at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, Frank Farina's side continued their Season 4 preparations with a match against 1999 Copa Libertadores champion Palmeiras of Brazil. And the Roar's Matt McKay now joins us from Brisbane to review the match and preview Queensland's A-League season. Matt, thanks for your time. It was a 3-1 victory last night in front of 12,000 fans, so a good crowd for a pre-season match. How did you find the match?
Excellent. Obviously, it wasn't their full-strength Palmeiras side, but it was obviously for a good cause. You know, the Queensland government and Transleague put on the game for the Roar against racism, and it was great preparation for us leading into the pre-season cup and also the A-League proper.
And there's a number of players missing from last season's squad, in particular Ronaldo, who was your top scorer, so it really does put a lot of pressure on young Smits, who's signed with the club, and also the other striker, the Dutchman, who's come into the squad. What are your impressions early of those two players?
They did extremely well last night. I had Sergio Van Dijk, and obviously Tim Smits is a local boy that's, you know, he's quite handy. He's a difficult player to mark. He's good in the air, and he's got a good touch. You know, brings the midfielders into play, which I really enjoy. So both of them are strong players, and you know, some of the players, if they can link well, will do us do no harm in trying to, you know, score some goals this season and really link on with the young boys that we've got running around as well.
Matty, you've lost a lot of players from last year. I mean, when you look at your back line, Ojanovsky's a very handy player to have in your defence, and you've also lost players up forward, Ronaldo, Milicic and Simon Lynch, and so and Marcinho is obviously gone as well. I mean, what are the expectations there this year? Is it a bit of a rebuilding season for you, or are you expected to still expected to win the league?
We're still, you know, from what we've done in pre-season, it's a strong squad. We've got, you know, a lot of the core guys from last year. Still got, you know, Craig Moore and Josh McLaughlin centrally, and obviously Danny Tiardo and you know, Massimo Madoka and myself in midfield. So it's a core kind of setup, and you know, the additions of the young boys that are into their second year are more experienced, and you know, it's leading in towards a good season for us. I think, you know, it will be a rebuilding one, you know, for seasons ahead. But you know, every team's like that, and the players we've brought in are good players and will do the job as well.
Matt, Zulo Cruz and Minicon injected so much excitement into the A-League last season, but I must ask you about a young man called Tom Orr, who came on for, I think, half an hour last night. There's big raps on him. Rado Vidicic says he'll be a very, very impressive and big player in the years to come, and Frank Farina has wrapped him up pretty big. What can we expect?
Huge player. He's going to be really good for the Roar. I think he's signed for 3 years, so he's one for the future. He's only 16, and I'm actually assistant coach at the QAS at the moment, and he's been there for the last couple of years under Mike Mulvey, and just to see him progress is really good. And he's one of those players, a lot like Zulo on the left, a winger who can take players on and is really quick with the ball.
Has there been any real changes in the way that you've prepared for the season this year? Because you had a really slow start last year, so has that been taken into consideration in terms of the way you're approaching your pre-season this year?
No, similar to last year. We've still got Craig Starcevich as our fitness guy, and you know, we do a lot of weights and running early on, and you know, we've been going for a good 12-13 weeks now, so all the boys are fit, no long-term injuries, which is really good for you know, coming into the start of the season. So it's hopefully we hit the ground running this year, and not you know, obviously we didn't start the best last year, so we've got to keep that going for the start of the season.
And Matt, the test will come this week when you play Sydney FC in the pre-season cup, and we'll look at the fixtures you've got, because it won't be easy. You play Wellington Phoenix on the Sunshine Coast in the second match, and then the Central Coast at Perry Park in the third. But let's focus on Sydney FC. That is going to be a very, very stern test for you first up, isn't it? Yeah, we had them first up last year, I think. So yeah, they're a good side. I think we've been going a bit longer than them in the pre-season, but you know, these pre-season cup games are all about getting the right formula and you know, the personnel, and being able to adapt and get ready for the season proper. So we'll be taking them seriously just to finish off our preparation, and it should be a good you know, good hit out down at Campbelltown next Saturday night.
Hey, Ronaldo was a very important player for you last year. I mean, because obviously with him leading the forward line, and you know, he's a hard worker, puts himself about, really provided a platform for you up front. How are you going to replace him this year?
Yeah, obviously last year we had the three-prong attack, so he was at right on the pointy end and had to do a lot of the work by himself. So losing him is hard to replace. But the Dutchman we signed, Sergio van Dijk, is a similar kind of build, a nice big boy, and holds off defenders quite easily. And he's got a mean shot at him. So it could be a like-for-like swap there, and also Tim Smith. So we've got the likelihood of changing formations even and playing two up front and having the young boys pushing deeper from midfield. So it's a few different options that we didn't have last year.
And Zulo, Cruz and Minicon, your three excellent young players from last season. I suppose there's always a danger that the opposition knows them a little bit better in season 2. Have you spoken to them about perhaps the hangover in season 2 potentially?
Yeah, obviously Frank Farina and obviously the more senior players like Craig and Danny pull them aside and let them know what's going to happen this year. But it was towards the end of last season where it started happening to them. Everyone knows them by that stage of the season, and they'll be coming under a bit more pressure, so they can handle it. They're all three of them are willing to learn, and that's what they need to progress as footballers, and they'll do that for us this year. They're a key element of a squad, and we'll need them to if we're going to progress even further and make a grand final this year. And
Matt, just a final question. You're a heartbeat away from the final prize potentially last season. Have you set your goals for this current season?
I think, at the start of every season, obviously this is the 4th season, it's top 4 to start with. Once you're there, obviously you're hoping for a top 2 finish and grand final berth, and we're that one step away last year, and we're very keen to not make any mistakes and get that grand final spot this year, and obviously I hope to win it, so sky's the limit.
Thanks, Matt, all the best, and all the best looking forward to the season as well.
Thanks very much, guys.
That's Matt McKay in Brisbane. And despite Palmeiras making a short trip to Australia, the club played in the Brisbane Campeonato this week. And for highlights of that